Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday and happy Circle of Love Day. Today, we're working on some leaves, but they are going to be expressive leaves, or they're going to allow you to really express individuality. And so I've been kind of seeing all the, trees changing colors and leaves falling off, and some of them in their transition period, getting so interesting, with a variety of different colors within one leaf. And it just made me think about how different each one of them are, almost how expressive each one of them are, not just with their shapes, their different types of shapes from different trees or from different bushes or other places where they're coming from, but also with the color. So today I'm going to guide you through an activity of creating an outline of a leaf in your own unique shape, and then filling it with your own unique colors and patterns. I'm going to show you now just kind of one that I have started. So I'm going to flash over here to my other screen. Bear with me. And I have half of it done. Okay. And it's actually, I'm just using permanent marker today and Crayola markers here. So these are the Crayola markers that I'm talking about. I'm using these very simple. You don't have to have fancy tools, fancy equipment, fancy supplies. And here's my black permanent marker. It's more for the feeling of the activity, for the physicality of the motion of the lines. We're going to get into that a little bit more as well, but just a moment to kind of build in some self-empowerment by expressing our individuality and in this very, very simple, easy way. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to get my paper. I'm working today with this, it's actually mixed media paper, which is kind of like watercolor paper, which means it can accept wet mediums. You may be using marker like I am, or you may be preferring to use watercolors if you want to. If that's what you brought today, or maybe you're using crayon, or maybe you're using colored paper and you're going to create your own version of this activity. That's completely fine. You can interpret this in whatever way makes most sense to you. Okay, so we're going to get started with the outline of our leaf. Now, notice that on this example here, I used black for my outline, because I knew actually that I was going to utilize these very, very strong, almost dark colors, like particularly the teal. So I wanted something that was going to stand out still, even if I covered these lines with that dark color, that those lines would still show. On my next example, though, I'm going to switch to a lighter marker color or a lighter outline, and you can be doing this with colored pencil as well. You could be just doing this with regular pencil. That's absolutely fine. And what I like to do is I like to start in the corner and make myself a little stem that just comes out from the corner. And I do that by drawing these two lines, just picking any corner of the page that are slightly curved in opposing ways. And then I make this little circle or oval actually there to connect them on one end. And so that's kind of like at the bottom of the stem. Okay. I personally am a big fan of the anatomy of a stem. I know that might sound odd, but I do get a lot of my artistic inspiration for my larger paintings, acrylic paintings, from forms such even simple forms like this one. So I like to pay attention to those little details. Anyway, from those two lines, I'm going to invite you to make whatever motion or shape or line all the way around and continue. So notice how I'm really just taking one of these curvy lines from the stem and I'm continuing it. And it could be continued in a symmetrical way, meaning that this half of the page would be the same as this half of the page, or it can be completely irregular. And I am going to go irregular with mine. I noticed some leaves have these big, big, big loops like that in them. Some of them, these have these very pointy tips, okay? So in my leaf, I'm kind of combining a bunch of different features that I've noticed out of different leaves there. And I'm just letting my leaf be a little kind of wonky there. I kind of feel that way about myself, not in a negative way, but in a very empowering way in terms of being unique or being different than the rest. And so, you know, that's something that I feel like when I was younger, maybe I didn't embrace enough. And as I'm getting older, I'm learning to really just kind of harness that or build on that or, you know, utilize that uniqueness in productive ways and in useful ways for myself. So anyway, I've got my outline laid out. And now it's time to establish some lines or sections or designs or patterns inside. You can do this a couple of different ways. I want to show you here on my first example that I actually started by taking the continuation of the side, the edge of the stem right here, and bringing it up the center. I say center, it's actually a little offset. That's okay. It can be offset. And I brought it up to here and to about right here. And so I made that be the center of my leaf. Notice it is a little offset. There are no rules. You are the one designing this leaf. And then from there, I started creating sections. So I'm going to use the similar method so you can see what I mean. But if this system doesn't work for you, you create your own system. There are no rules. I'm actually going to make this one a little bit windy this time instead of so straight. And I'm going to just take it to right here. And that's where I'm deciding that the center of my leaf is going to end right there. Okay. Then from that center line, I am just, because I don't want to put too much thought into this myself, just because what I'm doing is I'm really focusing on and enjoying the physical nature of drawing a very, 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 very long line like that. Okay, very deliberately. So that's feeling really good to me physically. That means my hand, my body, the experience that I'm having with that process is really soothing. So I encourage you to pay attention to those things as you're working. Remember, this doesn't have to be fancy. This doesn't have to be, you know, anything other than what it just wants to develop into on its own. So right now, I'm kind of drawing these veins, I want to call it, from the center here of my leaf. And that's just kind of how they want to be coming out. I'm paying attention to if my hand wants to make a curve like that, or if my hand wants to make a wavy line like that. And it kind of wants to do both at different times. Also paying attention to if you want to begin your next vein at the same point of origin as the other half of the leaf, you can make those match like that. I'm deciding I want mine to match. So I did it here, I made it match, here I made it match, here I made it match. This one, I think I'm gonna make not match. So this one, it's starting on this half of my leaf. It's starting here, but I'm gonna, on this half of the leaf, start it here. Yep, there. Again, you decide, you get to choose. There are no rules here. There are no rules. I can't say that enough. Okay, so I've chosen this lighter color of outline actually on purpose because I'm gonna be now working with a little bit of a lighter color scheme on this one. The other leaf, the original one that I showed you, I was really just feeling this color, this teal color. It's my favorite color. So I really was wanting to, you know, incorporate that somehow into this leaf. For this one, I'm feeling like I want a little bit of a contrast, some lighter colors. So here I might be working with this light pink. I might be working with some, let's see here, yellow. And I think that these two might help me to create also a orange kind of color. I'm going to show you in a moment how you can take just these washable Crayola markers and utilize them like watercolors. Okay, so that's something that I'm doing. So I have already gathered myself some water. And in a moment, if that's something that you think you want to try, you're welcome to go get yourself also some of that extra supplies. Okay, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this of these two colors that I'm planning on using as my color scheme here. I'm going to take the darker one. So that would be this pink. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of on the side, if you're using markers, I encourage you to try to use the edge, like the long side of it. And that allows you to get bolder lines, just kind of thicker, bolder lines, as well as more pigment onto the paper. So what I'm doing is I'm just going over all the outlines. And I think I'm going to, here, I want to show you in this example, I went like this with my marker, and like this, and like this, like this. And I only went over the edges of these larger sections, okay? But here, I'm going to go over the edges of every section. Now, you may notice that on this version, I have a lot of these extra little lines, I want to call them contour lines, inside of every different section. You're welcome to add that to your creation if you want to. If that's something that's really calling your attention, give it a try. Okay, it doesn't have to be just line. It can also be other patterns and designs. It could be polka dots. It could be checkers. It could be zigzags. It could be anything at all. This is just what my hand was feeling like doing. Okay. And now I'm going to actually continue outlining, in a sense, these different sections. So right now on this version, I'm not feeling like adding too much extra right now. Maybe I'll go back into it later. Maybe later I'll add polka dots or something fun. But right now I'm just wanting, my hand's just wanting to do that. Okay, so I'm going to continue here. I'm going to continue outlining all these edges. And again, if you're using colored pencil, really it's the same concept, that you're utilizing the darker of all the colors that you're using. You're going to take the darker color and you're going to kind of color in these outlines, these outer edges of all of these sections. And what that does is just emphasize those lines. It emphasizes those sections, and it really creates a visually dynamic image. Okay. Now notice that this doesn't have to take a long time. Notice that I'm not being precise. Let yourself just play. Let yourself experiment. You know, if this is something that you've never tried before, then let yourself choose a variety of options during this activity. I like that I might not normally choose pink for a representation of a leaf. I like that. For me, it helps me, again, emphasize that individuality, emphasize uniqueness, and therefore helps me feel more comfortable allowing myself to be more unique, to be different than the others. Sometimes that can be something that's difficult to feel comfortable doing. And at the same time, it is so empowering when you can at least try it or practice it. Right, so here we go. My leaf is almost looking like a flame, which I'm kind of liking and feeling okay with. I'm going to roll with it. Just going to go with it. Okay. And I'm feeling like I might have to actually add a little bit more here on these edges, just a little more, because maybe I kept it a little thin. And since I'm going to be wanting to spread this color with my water in just a moment, it will be helpful to have a little bit more color. There we go, on these edges. Okay. Again, if you're using crayon, if you're using colored pencil, if you're using just pens, maybe all you can find is a blue pen and a yellow highlighter. That's okay. It's okay. It's the same concept. There we go. Okay. And if you're working just with pen and you don't necessarily have a way to blend colors or spread colors, that's okay. You might then be interested in adding lots of the different lines and patterns inside of each section. Okay. And see what different marks you can come up with for each different section. All right. Now I have my darker edge established. I'm going to come in with my lighter color, which is this yellow. And now for the yellow, I'm really just filling in very quickly like this. Like this. Okay. Again, using the side. So I'm going to come bring it closer using the side right here. I'm sorry that it's, there we go. Now we adjusted. Oh, we'll go there right here. The long side, or I call it sometimes edge of the marker versus the point. A lot of people want to use the point all the time, and that just gives you a tiny bit of color, a very thin line of color. What we want is bold, thick sections of color. Okay, and I'm just filling in right now all of these areas. Since I'm using marker, I can go more quickly. If you're using crayon, you might be able to go quickly. And I'm not worrying about being perfect. No. This is no place for that. Okay, so I've gotten my edges of each section kind of outlined, okay, with the darker pink, and the insides filled in with the yellow. Now I am going to take, this is just water and a brush, a paintbrush, okay? And I am going to begin on along the dark pink, or just the pink, okay? And I'm basically going to brush right over everywhere where I put that pink. So it's like I'm outlining this section again. Okay. There, what's happening is it is blending now. Let me see if I can hold this up a little bit better. There we go. It's blending and smoothing the lines, the marker lines. Okay, and now making it more truly look just like watercolor effect. And what I'm going to do now here on the edge of this pink is I'm going to come in here and come in a little bit more towards the center of the yellow, and keep going and now brush over the yellow as well. And you can see the pink and the yellow have kind of blended together now. And you can see the difference between the area where I used the water and the area where I just colored with the marker. So it's just a slightly softer kind of look. Okay, I'm going to continue doing that, just again, following the same system. If you are not using water or you're not working with a water-based medium, it is not a problem. You're just going to continue with your plan, which may involve decorating or designing different sections. with different lines and patterns, or it may involve decorating different sections with different colors. That's also another option. Okay. And the process of this brushing, and really I'm just using water to spread all of this, is really, really soothing as well to me. So I'm really enjoying the feeling, the physicality of that motion, of the feel of the softness of the bristles of the brush on the paper, the fact that it's really just water. I don't have to worry about being so precise with my brushing motions. I don't even have to make sure I touch every bit of the color. I can just touch just a little bit like that, and then come over here and touch just a little bit like that. I don't have to make everything blend together. You know, just kind of just allow yourself to decide as you go and give yourself lots of choices, lots of options. There's no one way. There's no wrong way. Okay. Allow yourself options. Many people will worry about, you know, the outcome or the finished product, and you know, are working hard to steer their creation in a certain direction. Often though, especially when working with art mediums, you know, experimentation is really important, and we discover new things through experimentation. So go ahead and let it do what it wants to do and notice what it's doing. Okay. Here's what I have so far. I think what I'd like to do is kind of give it a chance to dry a little bit before I think about maybe adding any other patterns or designs to it. I might go back into this version and continue with my dark teal around the edges, and then pink in the center, and then adding some lines. And you might be wondering, you know, how did I come upon pink? Well, to be completely honest with you, it's just what I had. It's just what I had. This is what I'm working with. Notice I don't have orange in my set that I have here right now in front of me. I don't have orange. So I chose something else. Okay. When you don't have exactly what you want or what you feel you need, choose something else and keep going. All right, I'm going to flash back to my face here. I'm going to say, let's see. I want to thank you all for joining me today to work on these leaves, which I think are lovely, lovely leaves. And they are going to act again as a representation of our individuality, of our uniqueness, and allowing whatever form your creation ended up or took place, just allowing it to be, not judging it, you know, not trying to make it be something else that you want it to be, just letting it be what it turned into. Okay. I again want to remind you, this is Circle of Love. I'm Cynthia Gahan. I hope you can join us again next time. Have a wonderful day. Lots of love to you.
That was lovely.